Now in this video we're going to continue with the development of the sales record table model, and this time around we're going to write another method that is going to set the column names of the J table that we were supposed to have in the mainframe. Okay, so we should write a method that will set these column names in the table model. So let's go ahead and do that. And this method is gonna be private because we are not gonna need it outside this class. So I'm gonna declare private void set column names. So that's gonna be the name of the method. It's not gonna take any arguments. Now this method is gonna be simple because we are simply going to call the child column names and instantiate the array because it's an array of string. So you're going to instantiate it and also set the data that is going to be inside the array. Excuse me, let me just indent this properly and put a semicolon over there. And now the column names are simply going to be the serial number. So since these are elements of the array, I'll have to separate them with commas. This is the invoice number, follows the description, the price sold, and the customer name. I think that is how we wanted it. Serial number, invoice number, description, price sold, customer name. Serial number, invoice number, description, price sold, customer name. So that's the order that we want to represent those columns and their names. So in order to make this method to work, we will have to come over to the constructor and invoke that method to set the array of column names. So that's it with that method. The next method that we're gonna write is the method that will set the data into the rows, because when we launch the mainframe we should be able to see our existing sales record inside the table. So we should be able to populate the table with some existing sales record using a method called setData. That method will need to be called outside this class, so we'll have to declare it to be private, and the name of the method is going to be setData, and the method is going to take as its argument a list of sales record objects, because that's the representation of the data that we are expecting from the constructor above. If you can recall, that's what we had, a list of sales record objects. So when we are setting the data in using this method, we should get that argument data type as well. Okay, so we'll have to instantiate this array list. So we can say this dot data equals new array list. We're not gonna need to put the data type here because we had already declared this dot data to be an array list of objects. So that's a good feature from JDK 7. Then since we're gonna have a lot of rows, we can use a for loop to iterate through the list by getting a source record object for each iteration, and we're gonna say sales records for each sales record that is coming from sales records. Okay, so what we're going to do here is that since we know that every element of this array list is gonna be an array of objects. We'll have to retrieve it as such. So we're gonna declare object array of object. Let's call it row to be equal to new object, and the number of columns that we're gonna have in each row should be retrieved from the number of child column names dot length. Recall that the child column names itself is an array of strings, and it is gonna give us all the names of the columns. So if we're gonna have like 5 columns, then child column names dot length is going to tell us the number of columns that we are gonna actually have, which is gonna be 5 in this case. So I know some people will say, why don't you just type 5 in here? Now the question is, what if we decide to add another column in the future? We might forget to update this. So let's simply make it child column names dot length, so that once we add a new column here, it will change the length property of this array child column names, and then it will automatically work here in the appropriate way. So I hope you understand that. For now, we're gonna have to set the data for each column. So we'll have to call the row, and then we'll need to specify the column index. And again, I would not like to specify explicit values. Instead, I'll use the method from the superclass called find column. There's a method from the superclass called find column, where you specify a column name, and it's gonna give you the column index. So that's the best way to get a column index. I can get a column index for this row, and then assign a value to that column index in that row. In this case, the value is gonna be sales record, a sales record object that is retrieved in each iteration of the sales records array list. So it's gonna be sales record object that gets serial number. Recall, we are now calling the getter methods of that sales record class we had. We had a class sales record, if you can recall that, and we had a get serial number. Why am I even showing you this again? You are supposed to remember all that. Alright, so the next thing is to retrieve the what's the next thing? The invoice number. So I'm gonna say this dot find column, and then we're gonna specify the invoice number, and we're gonna assign sales record dot get invoice number. Get invoice number, yeah. Okay, the other one was get serial number. It can be quite confusing. Alright, so the next one is gonna be the row, and then we're gonna specify the find column method, and then it's gonna be description, and then we're gonna assign the sales record that get description, and another row for the column, and this column is gonna be the price sold, and we're gonna be sales record that get price sold, and the last but not least is gonna be the customer name. So I'm gonna say this dot find column customer name to be equal to sales record dot get customer name, and finally we can say this dot data dot add row. So in a nutshell, what's happening here is that we're gonna use a loop to iterate through the sales record objects that will be passed to the constructor of this class. The constructor of this class is gonna call the setData method. This dot setData, and pass in the sales records array list object to the setData method. The setData method will take the sales record array list object and is taking it as its argument. It's gonna instantiate the field data, which is an array list of array objects, and instantiate it. Then we're gonna loop through the array list of sales record objects, and for each iteration we're gonna have a sales record object, and in each iteration we'll create and instantiate an array of objects, and then that array is gonna be, the length has to be equal in all cases. So that's why we are gonna specify the child column names of length to be getting the exact number of columns, and then we'll specify a row and a column index, and then pass in the appropriate data to that cell. We specify another column index, pass in the appropriate data to that cell, and so on and so forth. And then we'll add the row, the particular row, to the data itself. So this field here is going to store the complete data, okay, in form of rows. Recall, this is going to be a row, so it's going to store all the rows that we're going to have in the main frame, in the JTable that's going to be in the main frame. So I hope you understand how that's going to be. So let's stop there for now. Hope you found this informative. Don't forget to subscribe, and if you have any questions, don't forget to add comments on the comment section of this video, and I hopefully will reply, or you can reach me out on my Facebook page. So don't forget to subscribe, and don't forget to check out our YouTube channel for more video tutorials. Hope you found this informative, and thanks for viewing.